Welcome to Portuguese Path, CIPLE A2 and beyond, powered by prep2go.study. If you are on that often confusing path towards long-term residency or, the ultimate goal, Portuguese citizenship, then you know exactly why we're here, the language requirement, specifically the CIPLE exam.
Indeed. We've got a great set of sources today, and they really detail the Certificado Inicial de Português Língua Estrangeira.
The official starting line.
It is. And as we always have to stress, let's make sure we're all saying it correctly. It's CPLEH.
CPLEH.
Got it. And, this deep dive is just so critical because passing the CPLEH isn't just about getting a certificate. It's really the linguistic gateway to legal stability here in Portugal.
And stability is absolutely the key word. I mean, we're not just talking about being able to have a polite chat. This is high-stakes immigration stuff.
It really is.
So before we get into all the, the timings and the percentages, let's just break it down. What is the CPLEH and why does it carry so much legal weight?
Well, simply put, the CPLEH is the official A2 proficiency exam.
And A2 is what level exactly, for someone who's not familiar?
It's the second level of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, the CEFR. So it certifies a very basic foundational ability to interact.
So like survival Portuguese.
Exactly. Think introducing yourself, asking for directions, understanding prices, just those predictable everyday situations.
Yeah.
And the exam itself is run by CPL.
CPLE. That's the Centro de Avaliação de Português Língua Estrangeira.
That's the one. It's a unit of the University of Lisbon.
Yeah.
And that's what gives the certificate its undisputed authority.
Okay. So our goal today is really twofold. First, we need to clarify why this A2 level is the one the law requires for these huge bureaucratic steps.
Right.
And second, to break down the test itself, the structure, the scoring, so you know exactly where to focus your prep time. Because it's about knowing the test, not just the language.
Precisely.
So let's jump right in, the legal side of it. Why A2? Why that specific, fairly basic level as the magic number for residency and citizenship?
It all comes down to the legal concept of integration. Portuguese law says that if you're applying for these statuses, you have to show sufficient knowledge of the language.
And A2 is what they've decided sufficient means.
Exactly. The government has basically codified A2 as that baseline. It shows you can, interact in public, understand basic notices, and just manage your day-to-day life without needing constant help.
And this really hits everyone on a long-term track, right? D7, golden visa, family reunification. Doesn't matter how you got here.
It doesn't. And the A2 certificate is non-negotiable for 3 major steps.
Okay, what are they?
1, applying for permanent residency. 2, the big one, applying for nationality by naturalization, so citizenship. And 3, this is the one that catches people, residency card renewal after 5 years.
Yes, that third one. So many people focus on citizenship way down the road, and they completely forget that even just to maintain your residency, you need to prove this. It's a huge wake-up call.
It is a huge wake-up call, and you have to show this proof to institutions like the IRN.
The ones who handle nationality.
Yeah, correct. The Instituto dos Registros e do Notariado, and also the former CEF, which is now IMA, handling immigration. For them, the CTLEH certificate is the gold standard. It's clear, it's standardized, it just cuts through any ambiguity.
I'm so glad you clarified the IRN versus AMA thing, because just figuring out which agency you're supposed to be dealing with is half the battle.
It really is. And, just to be thorough, our sources do mention an alternative. The CPLEH is the main exam route, but there is another option.
Oh.
It's called the PLA route.
PLA. Great. Does that mean I can skip this high-pressure exam?
Potentially, yes. PLA stands for Portuguese Língua de Acolhimento.
Portuguese is a host language.
Exactly. So instead of sitting this APL exam, you can complete a 150-hour PLA course at an accredited school. These are often government-supported, sometimes even free.
And the certificate from that course is enough?
It is. As long as the course is government-compliant and hits all the A2 CEFR goals, it's a great option for people who have more time and maybe prefer a gradual learning process over one big, scary exam.
But if you're on a deadline...
But if you're on a deadline or you just need that certificate fast for an application, the ACPLEH is still the most direct, the most predictable, and frankly, the fastest way to get it done.
Okay, so that's the legal why. Let's get into the technical how.
Yeah.
The exam itself. It's about 2 hours of active testing, but with breaks and check-in, you could be there for up to 4 hours.
It's a long day.
And it's split into 3 parts, the provas. Walk us through them.
Let's start with the heaviest hitter. Component 1. Reading and writing. Or Compreensão da leitura e produção em interação escritas.
And this is the section where you really have to manage your time.
Absolutely. You get 1 hour and 15 minutes, so 75 minutes total, and it accounts for a massive 45% of your final grade.
45%. Wow. So if you want to pass, you have to do well here.
You really do. And in those 75 minutes, you're doing a few things. First is reading comprehension. You'll get short texts, maybe some public announcements, and you answer multiple choice or matching questions.
How much time should that take?
I'd say plan for maybe 25, 30 minutes on the reading because you need to save the rest for the really crucial part, which is the writing.
Ah, yes. The writing section. I've heard about this tactical tightrope walk.
That's a perfect way to describe it. You have to write 2 different texts, and the rules are incredibly strict.
Okay.
First, a very short message, like a quick note or a text reply. That has to be between 25 and 35 words.
25 to 35, that's it.
That's it. And then a longer piece, like an informal email or a postcard, which has to be between 60 and 80 words.
That is just brutal precision. What happens if I write, say, 40 words on the first one or 90 on the second? Do they penalize you?
They do. Our sources are very clear that sticking to the word count is a major scoring point at A2. Too few words and you haven't completed the task. Too many and it shows you lack control and brevity.
So a huge part of practicing has to be literally counting your words as you go.
It has to be. You need to have templates in your head.
Yeah.
Greeting, 3 simple sentences, closing, and you need to be able to do that perfectly within the time you have left.
Okay. Block 1, 45%. What's next?
Next is listening comprehension, comprehensión do oral. This is 30 minutes, and it's worth 30% of the total grade.
And this is the one. This is the section everyone I know who's taken the CIPLE says is the hardest. Why is that?
2 things. Speed and cadence, specifically European Portuguese speed and cadence. The audio is played at a completely natural speed.
So they're not slowing it down for the A2 level.
Not at all. You're hearing real conversations, asking for directions, a question at the bank, but the pace, the way words get contracted in European Portuguese, it can be incredibly hard to follow.
And I've heard they sometimes include background noise, like street sounds.
They do. It's meant to simulate real life. And even though you get to hear each recording twice, that natural pace, the way vowels disappear, if you've been learning with, say, very slow, perfectly enunciated audio, this section will be a real shock.
You really have to train your ear for authentic PT audio.
You absolutely do.
Okay, and that brings us to the third and final block, speaking.
Right. Produção e interação orais. This is worth the final 25% of the grade, and it usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes per pair of candidates.
Per pair, so you do it with another person.
Yes. CIPLE prefers to test in pairs whenever they can. It simulates a more natural interaction. You're not just talking at an examiner, you're engaging with a partner.
What kind of things do you have to do?
It's usually 3 parts. A simple personal introduction, then a role-playing situation, like, asking for help at a shop. And finally, a short discussion with your partner and the examiner on a simple topic, like your hobbies or your favorite place in Portugal.
The pressure must be immense there. You have to think on your feet.
It is. It tests both your ability to produce language and to interact spontaneously.
So to recap, 45% for writing, 30% for listening, 25% for speaking. That's our 100%. But passing isn't as simple as just getting a good average score, is it? There's a trap in the scoring.
This is maybe the single most important thing to understand. It's the big aha moment. So many people think, oh, I just need 55% overall, but they miss the second rule.
Okay, so let's state rule number 1 clearly. You need at least 55% overall to pass. That gets you the classification Suficiente.
Correct. And Suficiente, which is 55 to 69%, is all you need for the legal requirements. You don't need BOM or muito BOM, but that 55% is only half the story.
And the other half is the real gatekeeper, is that you have to get a minimum score in every single part, right?
Exactly. You must score a minimum of 25% in each individual component: reading, writing, listening, and speaking.
Let me just say that again, because this is so important. It means if you are an amazing writer, you get 90% on reading writing. Your speaking is fine, maybe 60%. But you panic in the listening section and get 20%.
You fail the entire exam.
You fail. Even if your overall average is way above 55%.
It doesn't matter. You fail. The policy is there to make sure you have a balanced functional ability. You can't be a brilliant writer who can't understand a single spoken word. You have to have a baseline in all 4 skills.
That is such a critical piece of information. You can't just rely on your strengths to pull you through.
You really can.
Okay, so let's unpack this from a practical standpoint. I'm thinking about that dual requirement, 55% overall, But with that 25% floor in every section, I realized the hardest part isn't just knowing the vocabulary. It's the exam format itself.
Yes.
It's the pressure. Managing 75 minutes for 4 different tasks, the word counts, that rapid-fire audio, it demands a totally different kind of training. And honestly, that's why we built the simulators at prep2go.study to help people like us practice in a real, timed CIPLE test environment.
And that simulation is absolutely key, especially, as we said, for that listening section. We confirmed it's often the hardest part. And it's not just the speed, it's how European Portuguese works, the reduction of unaccented vowels, how words just blend together. If you're not used to it, decoding that under pressure is incredibly difficult.
So your preparation has to be active, listening to mock tests, with the background noises and everything to build that muscle memory.
Precisely. And for the writing section, the challenge is really about restraint. It's about drilling those short, concise texts that hit the 25-35 word and 60-80 word targets perfectly, all while that 75-minute clock is ticking down.
If you spend too much time on the reading, your writing gets sloppy.
Exactly. Or you miss the word counts. And the same tactical approach goes for the oral part, too. You have to practice role-playing, not just talking about yourself, like asking for an appointment at the Centro de Saúde, the health center, and managing that little conversation.
And a quick tactical note on logistics, too. The exam fee is about €95, but the slots, especially in Lisbon and Porto, they fill up so fast.
Incredibly fast. If you know you need that certificate by a certain date, you have to register months in advance. Or even look at CIPLE centers in other countries, like Spain. Don't wait until the last minute.
Okay, this has been a really deep dive into the nuts and bolts of the CIPLE. Let's just quickly recap the main takeaways.
For sure. The CIPLE A2 is mandatory for your big legal steps. Permanent residency and nationality. It's a 3-part exam. Reading/writing is 45%, listening is 30%, and speaking is 25%.
And the most important thing, the passing rule is twofold. You need 55% overall, which is Suficiente, and you must get at least 25% in every single section. Fail one, you fail all.
And the biggest challenges are those strict low word counts in writing and the natural speed PT audio in listening. Your prep has to focus on simulation and time management.
Now, for our final provocative thought. The legal landscape here is always changing. You mentioned something earlier, a future test called the TNIC. How does that affect things now?
It creates a real sense of agency, I think. Our sources show there's serious talk about integrating this CIPLE into a much bigger requirement, the TNIC. That's the Test Nacional de Integración y Ciudadanía.
And the timeline for that is around 2026.
Potentially, yes. And that test would be about much more than just language.
Right. The current CIPLE is purely linguistic. Does this word or that phrase get my point across?
Exactly. But the future TNIC could expand to include knowledge of Portuguese culture, history, even civic duties, the rights and responsibilities of being a citizen.
So the implication is, get it done now.
The implication is crystal clear. The current CIPLE A2 is the most direct, predictable, and purely language-based path that exists right now. If you need that certificate, the time to prepare and pass it is immediately before the goalposts potentially move much, much further away.
That is excellent advice. Stop just reading about the exam and start practicing. Visit prep2go.study today. See you on the path.